Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 or 3 of Not For Thought, a podcast channel designed for psychonauts and psychonautics. Today, I'm going to be talking about some of my recent DMT experiences. I have some pretty interesting stuff to talk about, but I think it's going to be a quicker podcast. I don't know. We'll see, man. Yeah, it's been a fucking while for anybody keeping up with the channel. I'm sorry that it's been so long. I don't know. I don't really have... I've had like a bit going on. I have school and work, but I've had so many times where I've wanted to sit down and make a podcast and I just don't fucking do it. I'm too lazy. I got no motivation. And I'm hoping to change that. We'll see. It's not like I haven't uploaded anything for months, and I have like maybe 20-30 minutes of shit to talk about. So it's not like every second. It's not like constantly I'm like, oh, I need to talk about this. Anyways, hope everybody's doing good out there. I am going to smoke some weed. I suggest you join me. This is one of the things that I was talking about when I ended the show last, was that I wasn't going to smoke weed anymore, and here I am still smoking a fuck ton of weed. But you know what? Who cares? I'm 22. I don't know. Whatever, man. Alright, I'm taking a hit out of a fucking cartridge, but this thing's strong as fuck, so yeah, take one with me. 3, 2, 1. Cheers. Alright, so when I first got home, when I first moved back in with my family, I should say, I wasn't really feeling the need to smoke weed. It's a very intense, intimidating, fast, crazy drug. And it feels weird calling it a drug. I've said this before, but it feels weird calling... I mean, it is a drug, but it's very spiritual in its nature. It's fascinating, but it's kind of hard calling it a drug, because most of the time I'm not using it as a drug. I'm using it to like gain insight and whatever. But I don't know. When I first moved back home, I had my shit pretty together, and I feel like I've just been kind of falling below the water. You know, like I'm just drowning in all the shit that I have to do. I just spent like 8 hours doing schoolwork, and it was rough, man. It was fucking rough. That's why I was like, you know what? It's time to make a podcast. So I started gaining a bit of interest in DMT again. I felt like there was a reason for me to do it again. I felt like I needed to work on some things. I felt like I was going the wrong direction with my life, and I still feel that way somewhat. I'm not going to bore you guys with it, but I just got a lot of bullshit that I need to deal with, and I'm just procrastinating unlike I ever have in my life. I've always procrastinated, but especially the past 2 months, I just can't get anything done. I don't want to do anything but sit on a couch and smoke weed. And even in the past, I'll have times like that, but then I'll have like a week or two where I'll just like grind away and get a bunch of shit done. But anyways, I've just been lacking motivation, and I was hoping that DMT would kind of help me out with that, I guess. But I started off doing like a really, really small amount, and I also was doing it on like a little bit of alcohol, which I do not recommend. A lot of this, what I'm about to talk about, involves alcohol, and at the end of it, I don't want to do that anymore. It's just, DMT and alcohol aren't something that should be mixed, but it takes away from my nerves, and I also don't feel like that's a good thing, but it's kind of nice, because I'm not so like nervous about doing it. I don't know. Anyways, I'll talk a lot about combining alcohol with DMT for anybody that's interested, and just because it's been on my mind a lot lately, because that's what I've been doing. But not anymore. Like, I'll get into it. Anyways, so I started to smoke more, and a couple weekends ago, I don't remember when, it was recently, but it was within the past couple weeks. No, I'd say it was like a month ago. I don't know. But I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna smoke some DMT. And I think I was kind of lit on some alcohol, on some weed, and I just decided, fuck it, I'm gonna smoke some DMT. So I loaded up a bowl, and I remember just like taking fat fucking hits. Like when I was smoking before, I did not know what I was doing. I wasted probably so much fucking DMT, but at the end of the day, I at least learned from that, and now I like know how to smoke DMT, definitely. But yeah, I had lots of, before I get into this one night that was really crazy, I had lots of moments that were kind of like mediocre. It was very like familiar. You'll notice that when you're a person that smokes a lot of DMT, the more that you smoke it, the more that you'll notice like similarities between trips. If you have a breakthrough, it's like never the same. But when you don't have a breakthrough, there's lots of times where you'll just have very similar trips that you've had in the past, and it'll feel the exact same. And to me, that can be kind of frustrating. So I wanted to smoke a bit more. And that's where this one night got pretty fucking crazy, and I went really, really hard on it, on the DMT. And I remember I was sitting on my bed, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was sitting on my bed. And I was not sober, but I decided, time to smoke some. And I took 2 hits, I believe. I just remember laying back and it just hitting me like a truck, dude. I fucking immediately saw this gigantic green, like bright fluorescent green pyramid form right in front of me, just absolutely massive. And in the middle of it, I saw this like circle opening up, and I could see like into this pyramid, and inside of this pyramid there were all these other little tiny green pyramids just like swirling in outer space, and it was so trippy, dude. It was all like happening very smooth but quick, you know. I was just seeing this giant green pyramid form, and it's like slowly rising and getting closer to me, and then all of a sudden I see this middle of it open up, and I see all this fucking crazy shit on the inside. I was fucking trippy, dude. And I saw a bunch of other shit, but because I was drinking, I think it like kind of shot my memory a little bit, because I remember coming out of it and immediately I forgot shit. I forgot like all of it, and I was like, what the fuck? What just happened? Where'd my memory go? It was whack, dude. But I kind of knew at the time that it was probably the alcohol. I probably had a breakthrough when this happened. Maybe this was my first breakthrough, but I had a lot of these, not quite this intense, but I had lots of moments like this for like weeks, man. Every weekend I was just like smoking a bit of DMT and just seeing what happens, you know. And every once in a while I would have these like really, really crazy experiences, and I think I was just like, I don't know, before when I was smoking a lot of DMT, I was trying so hard to have a breakthrough, and I thought it was going to be such a like obvious moment, but when it actually happened, maybe it was just because I was on other things, but it wasn't like, I didn't like come out of it and I was like, oh my god, I had a breakthrough, you know. I was just I came out of it and I was like, well, I forgot everything. That was trippy as fuck, but I don't remember anything. But fast forward to a week later, and this is by far, this has to be like the craziest moment I've had on DMT. I don't know, it's hard to compare memories on DMT. It's hard to compare trips because DMT is so fucking crazy. And like I said, when you don't smoke a whole lot of it, you might have lots of like, oh, I've experienced this before. But when you go really hard, that's when you're like, what the fuck was that? You know? So anyways, next weekend, I was definitely on like, nothing too crazy. Like when I drink, I don't drink that much. I drink like a couple of shots in a night, and that's it. But I think I was drinking a little bit, and this time was so fucking crazy. I think I only took 2 hits again, but if you take really, really fat hits, it's not about the number of hits, it's about the size hit you take and how long you hold it in. I guarantee you, just hold in your hits, take as big of a hit, especially that first hit, aim for it to just like rape your lungs, man, and then quickly going for the second one before you can think about it, and you'll have a crazy experience. You'll probably break through. But anyway, so I take 2 really fat ass fucking hits, and I lay down, and I get like kind of taken out of my body, and I'm just like kind of in this space, and I was just like watching these pieces tearing off of me. It wasn't like I wasn't seeing like flesh and blood or anything like that. I was seeing these very like refined square pieces that were like slowly peeling off of me. And the way that I was thinking about it after it happened was that it was like I was basically watching like pieces of my essence or my existence, metaphorically speaking. I was like watching it, well, not metaphorically speaking, because I was tripping my ass off and I was seeing this, but I was watching pieces of my essence kind of being torn off in parts. And I remember like it was taking like my clothing and like taking my gender away. And I remember at one point it like I saw my name flying away from me, and as it was flying away, I remember looking at it and I was like, that's my name. And then as it moved further away, I read it again, and I was like, wait, what's that? Who is that? And then it just like, it went into this big ass tornado, this like gigantic spinning aggressive tornado that was like staying in one spot away from me. It just like flew into this, and it was flying around with all these other pieces of my essence, and I was just watching this tornado of my being spinning around. Dude, it was so fucking trippy. And then I got like sucked even further into this like dream realm. This is the best way that I can put it, because like I remembered a lot of it, but it felt so real, and I wasn't seeing, usually with DMT it's very, I'll see pyramids, and I'll see shapes, and I'll see not figures, but I'll see things. I mean, I have seen figures, I guess, but it's usually like colors and shapes and weird trippy shit. But this time it was like it was almost looked like I was in my room, and then I had this like, this sounds monstrous and scary, but it wasn't. I had this like this alien thing. I don't know how to describe it. But it was like a bunch of these humanoid female hands that were like kind of going in a circle around me, and they were like touching on me and stuff. And it wasn't like uncomfortable or anything. But it was like I was seeing human hands. It wasn't like alien hands or like weird fingers or anything like that. Like I was seeing this like ball of hands that was just like spinning around me slowly and touching on me. It was fucking bizarre. And then I got like sucked back into my body, and it felt like I was waking up from a dream, which is unusual. I haven't felt that on DMT. I usually still feel very in my body, very conscious, but this time I was definitely not in my fucking body, and it felt like I was waking up when I like kind of re-entered my body. And I remember thinking like that had to have been a breakthrough, because I straight up left my body. I went to this like dream world. It was so real, but yet not at the same time, like a dream. And I was like not conscious of my body, and dude, it was trippy as fuck. Especially with the tornado thing, like what the hell? Yeah, that was like the trippiest thing that's happened. That was like the main thing that I wanted to talk about on the podcast. So yeah, I'm only at 16 minutes. I got a little bit more to talk about, but I can tell this isn't going to be long. And it's been months. I have more stuff to talk about. If I would have talked about this stuff closer to when it happened, I could have made like a full episode out of it, but I've waited a couple weeks since these 2 weekends happened, and I've forgotten a lot of details, I think. Not the main stuff, but most of it. Yeah, so after that, with like the thing touching all over me, like that was one thing with the hands, the like female hand thing, but I had trips after that that like got strangely sexual, and I think it was the alcohol that I was mixing in with it. I think it just affects the DMT weird. Cause I wouldn't be. This is probably TMI, but I wouldn't be like horny or nothing. I would just be like, I'd have a couple shots in my system, and I'd be like, all right, time to smoke some DMT, and I'd take a hit of DMT, and all of a sudden, I'd feel like my dick getting hard while I was tripping, and it was so fucking weird. I just didn't understand it, and I didn't like it either. Like, I didn't want to be getting hard while tripping on DMT and like feeling like something's touching on me and stuff. I just wanted to like have a psychedelic adventure. But I think because I was mixing alcohol into the equation, it was just like fucking with my trips, dude. And that's when I was like, you know what? I gotta stop. I gotta stop drinking and then smoking DMT. I need to do it sober. And yeah. But I did smoke a bunch the other night. Well, I didn't smoke a bunch. I took one hit, and I think I had like maybe a shot or two in my system, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna smoke some DMT." And I took a fat fucking hit, dude. I took such a huge hit, and it was so trippy. I can't begin to describe what I was seeing, but it felt like I was tripping really, really hard on shrooms, which DMT is, chemically speaking, it's supposed to be very similar to shrooms. DMT and shrooms are supposed to be very similar. But I'd never, like, they are completely fucking different, in my opinion. Unless I'm smoking, like, a little bit of DMT, DMT is on a fucking way other level, dude. But anyways, after stuff started to get like weirdly horny, I was just like, clearly the DMT is like doing what I don't want to do, so that I'd stop doing it. So I'm just trying to dial back from drinking while I do that. I mean, just drinking in general, but I don't want to have any alcohol in my system if I'm smoking DMT. It's such a spiritual drug, and when I do drink and then smoke DMT, I can have crazy experiences. I can, possibly. Out of, like, I smoked a lot over a ton of weekends, and most of the time I had some alcohol in my system, and there were a lot of times where it just wasn't exciting, and it would, like, fuck with my head, and I don't know, it takes away from the experience. I almost like the nervousness. It kind of puts me into my place and reminds me that this isn't a drug to fuck around with. It's a very intense spiritual drug, in my opinion, and it's not a drug for me to take lightly. Doing it every weekend is one thing, but doing it every weekend when I'm drunk or drinking isn't the way to go, and I would recommend other people to not follow in my footsteps, I guess. And stay away from combining DMT really with anything, because it was just like, yes, I had the crazy experiences, but I've taken away from DMT. It's not like it was when I was smoking before it, like, it would leave an impact on me. After I would sober up from it, I would have like a very positive outlook on life, and it would have this like very euphoric feeling that it would leave with me, and I don't feel those things anymore. And I'm sure that it's because I'm drinking and then smoking DMT. So I think there's lots of reasons that it's not a good idea, especially for me. And I'm trying to stay away from it. I have a lot that I'm trying to work on right now, so I don't see myself not smoking DMT in the near future. I even ordered some more stuff that I need to extract it, so I'll have a good supply coming. But anyways, I'm probably gonna end this podcast. Thank you for listening. Yeah, smoke DMT if you get the opportunity, and have a good day. Later.